to another episode of On Point Podcast and More, where sharing is unlimited. I'm your host, Helen Baskerville-Dukes, and today our guest is Juan Wilson Jr., father, son, husband, and he is a serial entrepreneur. Welcome, Juan.
Thank you.
All right, thank you for coming on. You're all humble. He's like, thank you. Yes, you're welcome.
And I'm also known as the brat. So
yes.
We'll talk about the brat.
Yes. Welcome, Juan. Thank you for joining me today. So let's talk about you. Who are you?
Someone from this community. We're over here filming in Mount Hope, where I was born and raised, right here on Lott Street, and grew up over here. The brat comment actually came from me growing up being a brat around Donna and Helen and Tony, and just a young little getting into trouble when I was younger over here.
That's the truth.
This someone that grew up over in Providence. I haven't lived in Providence in 32 years, but I still do all the work that I do in the community is focused on Providence because that's where I'm from and I love my heart is here. But yeah, there's someone in the community that's trying to leave a legacy. That's who I am, trying to leave a legacy for the next generation.
Oh, you're not trying, you are. And I'm glad I know quite a few people who are leaving a legacy. And it's not easy, but the work you do put in, it is noticed, and you're making a huge impact. So I appreciate you for that. So we're going to talk about one of your major projects. What is the Muse Foundation of Rhode Island, and why did you form it here, or the organization?
So the Muse Foundation pretty much is if you're familiar with FUBU, for us, by us. So this is the first foundation of color in Rhode Island. So you have your foundation like the Rhode Island Foundation, which is a community foundation, even though they omit it because it's not only Rhode Island Foundation, but it's actually Rhode Island Community Foundation. And I wanted to put something together that was for us, and built by us. So it's the initiatives focus on us directly. And I'm in spaces where normally they don't pay attention to us, or we're secondary, or we're trickle down. And so I created this foundation to be a player, right? To be next to a United Way, to be next to Rhode Island Foundation, to be a grantor, right? To be a funder, not just always the receiver, right? So so that was the intention, because we're always looking for fiscals when we were running programs, starting programs. Fiscals didn't align with what our vision was, or they would try to mission drift to make us fit in. And,
Too much red tape.
Yeah, a ton of red tape. Right. So that's kind of why I established Muse to try to demystify philanthropy, right? From its racial foundation, right? From its foundation of racism and the woe is me type of charity, to us staying on our own and creating our own philanthropy, which we've always been philanthropists, but now it's really being intentional.
Right. This is a great segue. So how do you define Black philanthropy?
I'm happy you say that. So how I define Black philanthropy is time, talent, and treasure. Giving your time as far as with volunteering, which we've always done. When it comes into giving your talent, like folks that we just had at Turn Up, offering their talent to teach and pay it forward, teaching others. And then treasure, right, for donating, and not so much just donation from affluent folks. We're talking about crowdfunding, communities getting involved and putting their dollars together to make significant impact. You don't have to have a certain amount of income. You don't have to be a class of person to get involved in philanthropy. I look at myself, you have your first generation college student, I look at myself as the first generation philanthropist, right? So my family would never think about philanthropy, even though they were. Right? So you talk about tithing in church, volunteering at soup kitchens, and we are the most giving folks in the country.
Wait a minute, I'm glad you said that. I have some statistics here. Yeah. So the celebration of Black Philanthropy Month was a collective effort founded in 2011 by Dr. Jackie Copeland. I'm sure you know that, but I just want to give some historical facts. According to the Greater Public article in 2023 stated that Black households donate a higher share of their wealth than white households. They give 25% more of their income annually than white households. And 2/3 of African American households donate to organizations and causes totaling $11 billion each year. This is significant because 48% of the Black households who do give report incomes below $50,000.
Correct.
So as you said, you don't have to make a lot of money to be able to give. And then let me finish because I got some red lines here I want to talk about. Black Americans are more likely to help and give money to strangers in need. 70%, 76% of black donors said they give to strangers compared with just under 50% of donors overall, according to the Chronicle of Philanthropy. 64% in fact engage and give because of their faith, and you talked about tithes and things of that. More than 30% of black donors give to support their unique heritage and family tradition. Many black donors share that they engage and give because of the trust relationship they have with the person asking. And this is the last. 1 in 5 black donors say they would support more organizations if asked more often.
Yep, exactly. And so that's what this ask is with Muse. And it's not just asking to give, because I obviously solicit donations because we run predominantly on crowdfunding. You know what I'm saying? I'm very, coming from for-profit to nonprofit, to me, there's no difference. And so when I came to, besides the tax exempt status, I brought sponsorship to nonprofits, right? So that gives me more autonomy with the funds that we receive and sponsor. You're familiar with it with your process versus applying for
really restrictive.
Exactly.
And you can't even...
So it's like I give you the money, but you're handcuffed on what you can use it for and how you can make it applicable. So we have the ability to do that because we are a public charity and we have applied for grants. And actually, our first grant we applied for independently, we received, and it was significant, right? And now that grant, I'm be honest with you, when we applied for it, it was actually to pay my salary as being the ED of the Muse Foundation. That was the intentions with the grant writer and my board, and I haven't done it yet. And one of the reasons is because I didn't create Muse for a position. I didn't create Muse to
benefit yourself.
Benefit myself in the job. It was more, even if Muse doesn't exist after I fulfill what I feel like I'm building that foundation. So the money's going back into initiative, into programs. My thing is, I wouldn't mind obviously get paid for my time, but we have to have a significant amount of injection of funds for me to do that, right? So so those are the things where I really focus on initiatives. And when we talk about Black philanthropy, I'm glad you brought up Rhode Island's the first New England state to acknowledge Black Philanthropy Month.
Nice.
Providence was the first city. Shout out to Mayor Loiza. He was the first one to sign the proclamation before I worked with Governor McKee to sign the proclamation. And Helen was part of the first cohort to bring attention to it when we were trying to get people to identify what is Black Philanthropy Month. And it's like, what is like Black History Month? Everyone talks about we only got 1 month. So I stopped looking at things as a deficiency, right? So I look at it, we're in a busy world where everyone's doing too much. So to have something, I look at it as a concentration, a highlight, right? So all this information, so we're highlighted for February, we're highlighted for August, where folks can focus on us when there's so much going on. So Black Philanthropy Month basically highlights Black-led orgs, their missions, and then whatever programs or initiatives. So I'm trying to get in and to garner support, not just financially, volunteers, their expertise, like I said, time, talent, and treasure. I want to focus on these organizations to bring awareness and bring resources to them during that month of August. But it's 365 days. But this is when we highlight to bring the attention.
Right, but there was something that I said. Many Black donors share that they engage and give because of the trust relationships. And that's one of the major reasons why we, as Juneteenth RI, we gave in creating this piece, is because we know the necessities of it, and we know that the Black community needs to really focus more on giving and then receiving, because once we give more, we receive more. Because we're out here on the outside fighting for those grants that other, hundreds of other organizations are fighting for. But within here, you can, be more concentrated and intentional about giving money to particular organizations of color, which is necessary.
Exactly, and I love it. And I said, and thank you, Juneteenth RI, partnering to establish the Rhode Island Black Philanthropy Month endowment. So we have a legacy endowment, and that was created for that purpose. When I said leaving legacy, you don't even have to donate through Juneteenth RI or Muse. You can donate directly to the endowment, and that endowment's pretty much, it was irrevocable funds. Once I gave it to them, it's there, right?
Well, who did you give it to?
So the Rhode Island Foundation is the foundation that manages this fund. So they're the donor management, and one of the things I challenged them with, because it was a little bit of a struggle to get the endowment set up, because there were some things that I wanted to make sure our endowment had in place, and we end up working it out, getting it in place. But I want to be honest. Caucasians are good at growing money. I need you to grow our endowment so that we can raise the funds the way we need it, and then we disseminate it the way we want. I don't need your input in that. I just need you to help grow the fund.
Right. I think this is also another springboard because the more people who hear what we're discussing and understand the necessity of giving and then the focus of the giving, they'll be more apt to give. And we do want to encourage people, so you don't have to have $50 or $100 to give. Give $5, you know, and you can also elect to give $5 monthly straight from your paycheck, or, you know, you put your credit card on there. It doesn't matter. Just, we know that the importance of giving, hence you started this foundation. And we were a recipient of it before you had gotten the endowment, and we're grateful for that, you know, because we know what we're doing with the money is making sure that we increase what people see in the Black community by being empowered and making that impact through the cultural arts.
And that's kind of, like I said, enrich, empower, and equip. You'll see that in all our taglines for all our initiatives, because that's what we're trying to do, empower folks. Even with this endowment, we started one. We're not the only ones. We're trying to encourage others to do the same.
Yes.
And shout out to Angie and Kuma when we have a kickoff event every August 1st, the beginning of August. It happens to be Emancipation Day, where we kick off Rhode Island Black Philanthropy Month. And Angie had really articulated the importance. She's like, I want you to know the significance of what Juan's doing. $10,000 started the endowment. When I was under the impression it took $25,000. When Angie educated me, said, no, Juan, you can start at 10. I said, that's an easier reach. So I was going to do it. Then I talked with Helen. Helen's like, Juan, we'll contribute too to put it in place. And Angie gave the significance of this endowment because she talked about Rhode Island Foundation. She said Rhode Island Foundation 100 plus years ago had 10 white males that put together $1,000, and now you have the Rhode Island Foundation.
Yes.
So they started with $10,000 collectively, right? So that was a collective mission and vision, and now look what it is, over whatever $1 billion that they manage in funds.
Right. And the same thing for United Way. They started in the 70s, I think it was, with $100,000. It was kind of hefty.
It was up there, and I know they're getting ready to hit their centennial. They're getting ready to hit their 100 years as far as United Way, but you're talking about as far as the Rhode Island chapter that came in place. Yeah, it's they pooled their dollars with a vision, and then it grows. And so that's the significance of starting this endowment, because we have another Black philanthropy fund that is managed at the Rhode Island Foundation. I just felt like they didn't have as much liberty as we do and autonomy with the funding. So I want to make sure we have that with our funds. And then they tend to pool us together all the time. Right? It's never as like, we all have different visions and different ideas, but but you guys got to go in this area. Even when I sit there and think about the Muse Foundation, it's something I said to a colleague serving the African American population in Rhode Island. African American, not West African, not Caribbean. We're talking about African American people with Black culture. We represent less than 1%, less than 8% of the population here in Rhode Island that identify as African American. Wow. But when they say Black, in general, they pool all of us together because there aren't enough. So it made me think, why am I putting so much effort, into trying to serve 8% of what they consider 8% based on the census of people who identify as African American? And I'm like, Black culture is what raised me. You know what I'm saying? I know I'm mixed. You know what I'm saying? I know I have Cape Verdean, Narragansett Indian, African American, and West Indian. But I know what I relate to because I grew up in Black culture, right? So that's where I'm focused, and it's the most resilient culture that I've ever witnessed. And so that resiliency is like, how do we leverage that to really educate a people?
Not to be off subject, but you talk about Black culture. See, we both, not Black culture, but being Black, we look at it differently. Yeah. Because I see Black as a part of the African diaspora. Because, when you talk about someone Black in terms of how others see us, is talking about the skin complexion. Even though we know it's a variety. You got the Caribbeans, you got...
and you'll see that with, like now, we're talking the Taste of Juneteenth, right? So everyone's like, Juan, how are we going to do that? I said, it's the African diaspora. We're talking about a lot of people came to this triangle as far as slavery, how it was, delivered throughout the rest of the world, right? So all these different cultures mixed in. And so that's kind of where like, come on, are we just going to focus on soul food? And I said,
No, because you can infuse all that.
There's been influence of others. So when I say, even when I say Black culture and African American culture, I had no clue of any of my mission until I got older, right? Because I'm born here on the East Side, where they say is predominantly Black at the time in a certain area, and I only spoke English. I didn't know it. I didn't. I was around Dominicans and folks that had African accents, and I didn't respect that at the time when I was younger, right? I looked at immigration as, oh, all you people live in that house, and didn't understand the collaborative nature of their family, right? How family consolidated resources, and they learned that coming from
their culture,
their culture is. And when I talk about African American and Black culture, we have no lineage. Our lineage we do, but it was stolen from language to our place of origin. So one of the things that when I kind of debate with folks is like, we always got to come from that slavery origin when we're here, right? It's like that's when we were so much more, when we weren't disconnected from our lineage, right? So,
well, I think now is the time, and I'm okay with going back, but I think now is the time where we actually connect to our roots, especially with DNA testing, because it's really hard as an African American now. You know, we're related because of the Narragansett side, but I'm Black. You know what I'm saying? I'm African American. And I'm 20% white too. Yeah. So, but anyway, connecting with.
I didn't know that, Helen. That's a first for me.
Right. Denmark and Sweden, 10% of each. So I'm like,
wow.
But my great grandfather is white. Yeah. I'm okay. I love who I am. I love the whole makeup. Yeah. But I think now is a time where, at least African Americans, we're exploring who we are, because now we know who we are.
Have the capabilities to do it.
Exactly, because people other Black communities expect more from us than they should, because we're the only group that has been stripped of everything. We share our identity with white people, and then everything we create, everything we do is devalued and degraded. And then, who wants that? Who wants to be a part of that? So it's really hard for people to assimilate with us or see from the opposite side our struggle here. You know what I'm saying? It's like, well, and then our culture that we were able to create, that everybody appropriates, people don't see the significance in that.
No, especially how it came about, right? When I said the most resilient culture, it's like, these are out of necessity, right? These are things that had to be created because we didn't have that origin story. We didn't have that lineage. So we were very creative, from cuisine to dance to music. And then everyone else wants to be popular, so they tag on it and then no credit, right? Or just
and even creation. Look at all the patents and all the inventions that were stolen.
A lot of stuff that you see, and now it's starting to come out. Wow, I had no clue.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? But now they're giving that recognition. So that's one way around. That's where news is to try to basically expose these resources and identify how we can get involved when we define philanthropy, how we're going to do it. And because everyone else defines it for us, and we're always the grantee and the recipient. My thing is like, how can we do it on our own? How can we be more self-sufficient, really self-sufficient, right? Taking those funds, leveraging it. I want to flip it so that we can be more independent. And so those are the ideas of setting up the endowment, doing Black Philanthropy Month, Black Policy Month. I know you had Kyle here, Bennett, and we talked about Black Policy Month. Yep. And so there's quite a few things where we're intentionally. When I say I highlight the B in BIPOC, even though I represent every single letter in that acronym, B is where I come from.
Right. And we know the significance of trying to help the culture move forward, instead of just really focusing on what is holding us. I mean, we have no other choice but to focus on that, but that's not the main focus.
Love that you're saying that, Helen. I love it, because that's we get anchored on the whole reparation.
Yeah.
Right. I was like, the 40 acres in a mule. I said, I want 1,000 acres in a Tesla, right? But I'm like, no one's going to give me that, so I'm going to be in a position to get it myself and sustain it myself. And yes, we feel we're old, and we're owed certain things, which we are because of what we've been through.
I agree.
But my thing is, I don't want to be stuck on someone owing me and never paying me, and then we don't progress and move forward, right? So if we don't progress and move forward, then we're just stuck on stupid, part of my expression, because yes, they owe us. They're not giving it to us, but everyone else is progressing.
Right. Everybody.
So while we're still waiting, so my thing is, no, we can still try to,
push for that,
but at the same time, we're moving forward. So it's just, so I don't want people to say, I'm never gonna devalue, what was taken from us and what not given to us. But I'm also we also gonna take some accountability in moving forward and building like we have. We've been resilient. We shouldn't have to do that, but that's what's in front of us, and I'd rather move what's in front of us and learn from what was behind us.
Right. Well, a piece of that too, and then we can move on to the next question is, I think even as a community, because we are a very creative community, we have to stop letting people appropriate what we have and being okay with it. It's okay to be vocal about, no, you at least need to tell people the origins of that and why you're doing that, because we know the history of people profiting off of everything we do, and also as a community, be careful who you share your ideas with, and then don't get upset if you're telling everybody and then somebody runs off with the idea. Like, there's people in the community that can help you get patents, trademarks, and then there's other people who can help you, work through your plan or your idea to be able to bring it to fruition. But what you do from there, no one should work harder on your idea than you. So now, I'm gonna move on.
And just to say that an idea is only as good as its implementation.
Exactly.
So that's why I tell everybody, you can have a million ideas, but if you don't implement it and someone moves on it, you can't be mad, right? I said all you do is that's why you see me move on a lot of things just to establish it. Rather, I'm going to learn while I'm in practice. Mm-hmm. But there's some things that, like I said, an idea is only as good as its implementation. Right.
And then sometimes it's time, and it doesn't mean that it's always going to work out in your favor, but at least you said, I did what was in me, and then you keep it moving. So what initiatives are you currently working on? Because I did say he's a serial entrepreneur.
Yeah, so there's quite a few. We just finished our youth summit, turn up our 9th year.
Talk about that.
Last Wednesday. I'm loving it. Like I said, it's we kind of scaled. We originally started where we had 2 days, 300 kids, youth in the process. But then I started to lose people in their own ventures, endeavors, like Helen, who used to run our volunteers, and then we had Kobe, who went off.
I was there this time.
You came this time, and then we had Kobe, who ran off to run for mayor, and Ty was in law school, and Angie was leading, the United Way and Rhode Island Foundation. But I wanted to keep it going, and so we scaled it to based on what I could do capacity-wise. And every time I do it, I'm like, I'm not doing this again. But then
you do it again. But wait, I think people need to know, what is it exactly that this youth summit? What is it?
So turn up.
It's powerful.
So when you talk about giving credit for its origin, so Dr. Tayano Palermo, Esquire, and he keeps adding stuff that I got to cook because now he's an attorney and a doctor. This doctor brought it from turn up from Syracuse, New York, and basically it's a culturally relevant career conference. So it's for practitioners that look like the community they're teaching, right? Like that look like our community. And what I love about it is professions that might not be emulated in our community.
Right.
So you're talking about I didn't know you could be a psychiatrist and
you're
Dominican, and this one's a financial advisor. He looks like my uncle, like just
doctors,
seeing
lawyers.
So seeing it, and so I wanted to be intentional as we move forward that folks see practitioners that look like them. So that's the main premise. Is the cultural relevancy of the summit, but I also give incentives. I love to give out the prizes, and they're not just entitled; they earn it by building their human capital, their social capital. So they don't just receive it; it's based on participation and growing their network. Because that's how that conference started. It's like everyone in there is based on us building relationships. So I'm showing how important they were.
Right, and I see repeats coming in the kids, and they love it. They look forward to it, and they know what to do in order to, be able to.
Prizes.
Right. Get the extra tickets.
They know the assignment.
Yeah, right.
They definitely know the assignment. But yeah, then that turn up this past our next initiative right now. We're working on the Taste of Juneteenth. So just to let them know when we worked on. Holiday, right? So everyone's like, well, wasn't it a holiday? I see it was an observed holiday, but everyone, it was discretionary. Private sector can give their people some time off. Some municipalities give their time off. So Helen, myself, and a few others pursued to get a state paid holiday. So now the state paid workers are off, right? Yeah. So now they're off so now what happens? Buy black. Right, so there's an economic development strategy to this. So now that they need something to do, go just like on St. Patrick's Day, you go get your green beer and your corned beef or whatever. Now go buy some soul food.
Right.
Go buy some merch. And so creating that economic opportunity on a summer month, right? A summer month, a warm month, because we always have Black History during the winter, Martin Luther King Day during the winter, right? So it's like now we can have some commerce,
right.
You know what I'm saying, around it. So
not just during the Juneteenth celebration. But I like the idea that, especially our vendors, our merchants, they can get visibility more than just, besides this Culture Fest as well. But at least the more visibility, the more money they make.
And everyone thinks we have to have an or, it's an and. Right, so you got Juneteenth in June, we got Culture Fest in July. You know what I'm saying?
Like, yeah, we got August 1st.
Yeah, Emancipation Day.
No, I was really talking about. I'm not taking away from that, but yeah.
Well, we have the opportunities, right?
Right.
So we used to always just have one.
Yeah.
It was just Emancipation Day.
Right.
The other two are like, but now we're creating those opportunities. And then in between, right? There's stuff that's happening in between. So that's kind of when I say the economic strategy is like commerce and like from food to merch, like all the different vendors we have, and giving them multiple opportunities to generate revenue and bring money into our economy. Right?
No, I agree.
And from folks like now, all those state workers come down to the events and. You know what I'm saying? And because I love the festival. I love coming to see all my people enjoying themselves, making some money, and just the camaraderie and seeing folks I haven't seen in a long time.
And now people can learn actually, besides that surprise we got, but at least they can learn the origins of the food. Yeah. And then they can taste the food, you know what I'm saying? Which is another part of, being black, as you said. So
and they get to taste this, and these are different cultures that get to indulge in our culture from us versus someone else
cooking,
trying to do it. You know what I'm saying? So you come in. Even now we have we're working on a barbecue pit because the Galveston, Texas is real big on the barbecue. So we're working on having a vendor that has that outside. And it's actually gonna happen on Juneteenth itself, June 19th on Wednesday. At Farm Fresh, and it's from noon to 4. And since mostly we're looking at majority food vendors, but we're going to have some non-food vendors. And this is in addition to the festival happening on Saturday, right? So we're trying to, even with everyone's got programming, right? And it's like this, like how can we build around it and complement? And so I communicate with its origin. I communicate with Helen and say, Helen, this is what we're working on. That's one of the things we need to do.
And I appreciate that because we own Juneteenth, all right, but we don't own Juneteenth. And I appreciate that.
Yeah, and I do. It's like bring it to this because this is the origin story to me. Like I learned about Juneteenth. Shout out to Melissa's husband because it happened to be her birthday, June 19th.
We love you though.
And then Helen putting it, GoFundMe and getting it together, putting it together, like watching. So I know where the work came in, right? So now it's like these are enhancements. These are complementary type of things to its origin, right? So we're building, like I want to see a week of Juneteenth.
Well, the thing is what we're doing this year is, so we did a whole weekend, but this year every Saturday, except for Culture Fest Saturday, we make sure there's an event going on to highlight Juneteenth and Black culture.
And that's your contribution based on capacity because you try to do it for, but that's a lot.
Too much,
so spreading it out, but there's others that can still, communicate and fill it in. Because I think right now the first Juneteenth celebration that's happening is Kin, so Kin's doing on June 14th their block party, right?
Okay, is it Saturday?
It's a Friday.
Okay,
this is a Friday before the festival, so I seen the ad on it because I remember. And speaking to Ken, like we're doing it on Sunday. I said, I said, why would you do it at the same time the other festivals happening?
Right.
And then they finally switched it to the Friday and the Sunday, and it worked, right? It complemented each other. You entered into it, but everyone's coming to the main festival. Now she's having the week before, but then that kind of sets it from the 14th all the way to the 22nd. So now what's happening in between, because it falls in the middle of the week this year.
Right, and I'm glad you said something because they did reach out to me. Like they want to know, so what date are you having this on? So
we had that conversation, and I'm like, this communicate, right? We don't. There's certain things you don't want. I don't want to bump heads. This everyone's going to be at this festival. Why? That's to me it doesn't make sense sometimes. But there's another day. There's other where we can complement each other and just communicate, especially because we're programming around the same holiday. I just think it's great to communicate. So.
No, I agree. Well, you're working on a lot.
Yeah,
I need to talk to your wife. One thing. Okay, but you know what? Let's talk about Black giving before we wrap this up because that is connected to
so the
Black philanthropy.
Yeah, so Black giving is our giving circle. We started out with Awesome PVD originally during COVID, where we would raise $1,000 a month amongst 10 to 12 donors. And then every month we would review applications that came in and issue $1,000 on a monthly basis. Once I started forming Muse and we became more and more initiatives, I had to put Awesome PVD on hold. But that was our first initiative as Muse. And this is before we were actually recognized as a 501c3. So I had donors that were giving, even though it wasn't a tax benefit to them, right? It benefited because we had our status within the 6 months of donating, so they were able to get the letter for donating, but that wasn't their intentions. Their intentions was to collaborate their dollars, and then we go over some applications, and we were looking at small orgs that weren't nonprofits status because they want to be, but they just didn't have the funding to start it, right? Didn't have the money to get
the capacity either.
So, and one of them, I'm going to shout out the mini entrepreneurship fair. So that was happening at Farm Fresh, but originally they came, we gave them $1,000 to do their curriculum design. And so what they do is teach K through 5th graders how to be entrepreneurs. And what I love, even if they're not entrepreneurs, it's all the skills, life skills that they get from public speaking to research and development. And so we funded them $1,000. Now she's a nonprofit. She went from Farm Fresh. I think this year they're going to be in Water Fire Center.
She's nice.
Grown really, really
Beautiful.
big. And so that's what we like to do. So Black Giving focuses on collective giving and then issuing it to smaller orgs.
Okay. I love it. I love it. You know, we are in the same circle. Like, what can we do to make sure we progress the community? So, thank you for all you do. So,
Covered it. It's not
how
scrolling
can the
anymore.
community help? Are you trying to be funny? Hold on, let me see.
She scrolls up. Is that the
I'm
end?
like, I just want to make sure because I was gonna pull it.
You did great.
Get on the mic.
Okay, Helen.
See, this is why he's called the brat.
Helen B. She's gonna drop some bars. Everyone said she used to be Helen B. and she still rhymes over
Yes.
It's museofri.org or museofri pretty much on any social handle. It's give.museofri.org. That's our slogan. Simply give simply. So it's like you give it, we're gonna give it out. Most of the money passes through with us, or we sit on it in escrow so we can fund things that we're moving forward with. And we keep a very low overhead. I'm in CIC. Thank you for the in-kind movement at CIC. So they give us a place to operate.
Right.
And like I said, we have a very minimum staff. No staff. How about that? Besides me. And then we have our board members, and most of our board members. So we'll be looking at board folks. We have an executive board of 4 folks, but we're looking for CAB members, so community advisory board members, and so folks can get involved that way. But pretty much everything's at museofri.org. You can get all the information, donate information on our initiatives, and how to contact me.
Right. All this will be up on the screen to our wonderful videographer. Archie Johnson.
Shout out to Archie.
Hey! Thank you for joining us on another episode of On Point Podcast and More, where sharing is unlimited.
Welcome to the Awoken Apparel Experience, where we offer unparalleled creativity and customer service. We offer custom apparel items including bow ties, scarves, bags, ties, home/kitchen accessories, bag restoration, embroidery, and more. Awoken Apparel would be honored to create custom apparel for you too. To learn more about us, follow us on Instagram at Awoken Apparel 401.